Everyone try to sit straight as you can. And Drona Mudra like this or Dhyan Mudra, however you can, whichever mudra you can manage. When you close your eyes, don't press them, just slightly close. Be conscious of your own self, not your mind. Be relaxed.
Should I put some instrumental music?
Yeah. Now focus on your breath. Be conscious that you breathe every day. Be aware of how you breathe. Now, slowly, as you are conscious of your breath, we'll try to turn our breath into prana, the substance of breathing. Keep breathing. Slowly breathe from your navel, flowing without putting any pressure on your throat, nostril, and the lungs, like an express highway from the navel to the nostril coming out. As you're breathing, you're conscious of your breath. Now, next 3 breaths, you have to have a deep inhale and a long exhale. You keep breathing now. As I give you direction, we will do that. Deep inhale and long exhale. 1:2 ratio, 3:6 ratio. Keep breathing. I will give you the direction. We'll start deep in and no om. I'll let you know later. Let there be no stress on any part of your body. Relaxed but deep in and long out. You're experiencing the conscious breath. You're conscious of your own self. Now, next 3 breaths, as you inhale, deep inhale, while exhaling, we have to reverberate the Omkar. Omkar is not the sound. Omkar is called as a vibration. It is called as alambana. You continue breathing now. I'll give you direction. The 3 breath has to go to the navel while releasing as deep as possible. The vibration does not come from your throat. It does not come from your lung. The vibration goes to the core of your navel. As we vibrate the Omkar mantra, We vibrate our entire existence. And this Omkar is the constant vibration in the universe. Be conscious of your breath, keep breathing, be prepared, be relaxed. Let your mind go wherever it wants to go. Don't try to control it, it will come back. Now we will take a deep breath, inhale, and while releasing, we will chant Omkar. We'll vibrate Omkar from our navel. Be still and experience the vibration, the alamban. Feel the vibration reverberating your entire existence. It doesn't matter where you are, which part of the world. If you lie down for yoga nidra also, you can see the change in your own self. Right? You don't have to answer how, when you do this, how you feel. You feel naturally some kind of peace. Right? Before any conflict, when you are sitting in front of the mediator, one of the best thing is to do is that make your breath normal. Right? When we are breathing, when you are angry, you can judge your breath. Right? It is not in balance. Right? Like when we are conscious breath, when we consciously breathe, it is always, it goes deep, it goes up to our navel, and the release is always double. But when we are artificially breathing, we don't take our breath to the depth only, ऊपर ऊपर से निकल जाता है, प्राण के साथ कोई संबंध ही नहीं है. And because there is no breath, there is no prana, what is the opposite of prana? Is mrityu. It's a death. And therefore our relationships are dead in the beginning only. Consciously or unconsciously, what we do, we don't actually relate to our own self. And therefore what we need is to titillate our senses. You are not enjoying, you are becoming the object of the people who consume you. You are simply a product, a profitable product to somebody else. Right? We say, it is my life. Freedom of speech, freedom of life. But the modern generation experiences slavery, and nobody experienced before like this. If you're conscious, if you're aware of this, right, we are controlled by our surrounding. Right? It doesn't matter, it is everyone. This small telephone, mobile phone, has the power to control us, and we think we are free. कितना टाइम देते हैं उसके लिए हम लोग, right? We give so much of time to that. A small piece, how much an iPhone takes to make? Less than $10 to $12. Somebody gave there in China, because they produce in lakhs. And how much we are willing to pay? In somewhere people were willing to sell their kidney to buy an iPhone. ये साहस नहीं है, मूर्खता है. Right? So therefore Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita, was very honest to express this to Krishna 5,000 years ago about a restless mind. Chanchalam manahi Krishna pramatti balavadridam tasyam nigrahamanne vayuravi sudushkaram. And who is Arjuna? We are discussing about meditation, right? In Sanskrit it is called as dhyana. One of the qualities of Arjuna is that he was hungry for learning. जैसे खाने के लिए भूखे होता ना, मोमो, right? तो वैसे Arjun was extremely hungry for learning, and therefore he got the name called as Gudakesh. Gudakesh means one who had a control over his sleep. निद्रा पे नियंत्रण था. Not that he was sleepless. Right? Most young generation, they sleep very less in the night time. That is not Gudakesh, that is Nishachar. निशाचर समझते हो? भूत, जिसको बाधा होती है, रात को भटकते रहते हो लोग. So it's called as Gudakesh. Arjuna was able to use his night time to practice what he had learned in the daytime. So that Arjuna is confessing to Krishna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra when the object of the senses were very less. Other day, one of our young person had conducted a small retreat for 1.5 hours. Now, first time we thought about it. I'm staying here last 35 years, but never did that. About 12 people went to a yacht in Gateway of India. We entered into the water. Within 10 minutes, you're out of Mumbai. You don't get to see any building only. You're actually with the elements. There is earth, at least the boat, and there is limitless water. Keval samudra, right? No buildings anywhere. And because the ocean is so big, there are no boats around. Even though there are hundreds of boats, when you begin with. But when you enter inside the water, there is no boat. And early morning we went, just before the sunrise. And there is an open sky. That's water and open sky. Water is connected to the mind. Just इसके बारे में सोच कर ही आपको अच्छा लगेगा. If you do it, imagine. Limitless water indicates your mind is vast and stable also. When you go into the deep ocean, the water is very stable. Yacht was not shaking. And there was a sky, blue sky. And the sun was about to rise. Right? And the rising sun indicates a rising confidence. Sun is connected to our ahankar, our astitva. You get to see that. There is sky, there is water, and then there is space. Give me my space, right? सबसे झगड़ा घर पे क्या होता है? Space के लिए झगड़ा होता है. Mental space, physical space. That 1 hour space we look for and we don't get it. So one philosopher said, we are basically the product of our surrounding. Nobody is good or bad. Nobody is evil. If Arjuna can ask this question that Krishna, my mind is restless, obstinate, right? And what does Krishna say to Arjuna? He doesn't say nonsense. He doesn't chastise him. He says, asamshayam mahabaho manam durnigraham chalam. He said, Arjun, undoubtedly, Krishna agrees with Arjun. That is the beauty of Sri Krishna, because he understands the other party. He is God for us, and God has no problem of restless mind. And if you don't have a problem, you don't understand the other party. Right? The communication, why does it drop? Because the सामने वाला व्यक्ति आपको समझ नहीं पा रहा है. And therefore one of the mantras, children, what do they tell to their parents? आप समझते नहीं हो. And the parents become so wild. Arey, what? हाँ, आप समझते नहीं हो. This is the constant mantra. Everybody does that. And still the parents don't understand. What do you say? I don't understand. I understand everything. बहुत बड़ा gap है. Because acknowledgement होता ही नहीं है. When they don't acknowledge, how can they help you solve? That is not their problem, because there is a huge gap. So Krishna, first thing he does is acknowledges. Asamshayam mahabhaho. Arjun undoubtedly. And who is Arjun? Mahabhaho. Having a great confidence. Baho, उसके भुजाएं बहुत शक्तिशाली है. फिर भी उसका मन चंचल है. And with less surrounding, where he had a mastery over his surrounding, and the surrounding was so sattvic. Next time you will do that. We take Deepak ji. We will do it in the ocean. Meditation. Okay, wow. Once you go into the water, just in Mumbai, 12 minutes from here, 12 मिनट में आप पहुंच जाते हो. ट्रैवलिंग के लिए भी इतनी समस्या नहीं है. Right? So, Krishna agreed with Arjun. So, do not feel guilty about your limitations. You are none other than the product of your surrounding. Those children in 1980s, your age, they never had any problem. They had all the self-control. उन्होंने कभी इंस्टा देखा ही नहीं, फेसबुक पे गए ही नहीं, what is that, टिंडर पे तो कभी देखा ही नहीं, because था ही नहीं हो, right? So their surrounding was none of this, therefore they were naturally innocent and pure. They were the product of their own surrounding, and now we are, including myself, we are the product of this surrounding. That Udwadia doctor, how many of you know his name? Very famous Rich Candy doctor, Udwadia, physician. He doesn't have a mobile phone only. बहुत बड़े डॉक्टर है वो. So he was talking to one of our preacher, and after talking to him, realized the best Ekadashi is phone से fast करो. Grain से अभी irrelevant हो गया in one sense. Anybody can do, because in Ekadashi, even if you don't eat grains, there are more recipes without the grain. The purpose of the fasting is only lost. So if you realize this, I am the product of my surrounding. So first thing, what does it do? It makes you honest. You don't fight to justify your stupidity. Like we have to battle now. All the time we are battling with yourself, with your parents to justify that I need to spend this much of time. But that is not a winning battle. Because however much you win against your parents, your superior, you know in the core of your heart, that's a lost battle. You know yourself. So therefore, the first thing is to accept your limitations. Once you accept the limitation, you don't resist yourself. अपने आप को resist नहीं करते हो. Then the solution comes. Right, Arjuna accepted. Krishna also was there. Help your parents to understand your limitations. Otherwise, what is now? The limitation is one place. Right. It is laughing at you. And the people who care for each other, your parents care for you, you care for them, they are fighting with each other. लड़ाई किसके साथ में होना चाहिए? हमारे सराउंडिंग के साथ में. सराउंडिंग बैठा है वैसे ही, और हम लड़ाई किसके साथ में कर रहे हैं? जो एक दूसरों को प्रेम करता है. Very important to understand this principle. Therefore, there is no blame for the limitation, but there is a blame, there is no profit for resistance. Therefore, Vidura explains in the Mahabharata, लड़ाई कब करनी चाहिए? If quarrel is profitable, then only you fight. He says, don't fight if it is not profitable. And it is not profitable to anybody, especially for your own self, because you want to grow. Who does not want to grow? And we know, with such a restless mind where concentration is so less, I work with schools, work with children. Now you will be shocked. The children who are in 3rd standard, 4th standard, their concentration is so less. Right? Very less. If you go and talk to them, large students of that age, you will feel that you are from Satyayuga only. अरे कैसा जमाना आ गया. So there is a huge gap between when you were in the 6th or 3rd standard and now they are in the 3rd standard. So what happens? Immediately we deny. We resist. ऐसा नहीं हो सकता. So that is the first teaching Krishna gives to Arjuna. He has the courage. Arjuna has the courage to express, and Krishna has the greater courage to acknowledge Arjuna's limitation. If this is done in the very beginning only, then all our relatives, our friends, our family, they become friend to us. We don't have to have another battle to deal with. Then we become together. Right? But what happens? We don't want to confess. Because when you tell the truth, you are insulted. Then you realize, सत्य बोलने से reward नहीं मिलता, मार मिलती है. So why should tell the truth? So this all happens in the subconscious mind only. It is not based on the conscious mind. So therefore, the concept of dhyana is the 7th stage in the yoga process. It is not the beginning. What we did was simply a gimmick. फिर भी अच्छा लगा. Right? It is not even a real meditation. It was simply a gimmick. And people use the meditation also to commercialize this. Right? In the yoga process, the first principle is yam. Right? Yam means avoiding those things which are not favorable to us. Second niyam, yam niyam. Niyam is what? Those things which are implementing the positive things. And God has given everybody sufficient intelligence. Actually, we don't need anybody to tell us. हमको किसी से सुनने की आवश्यकता नहीं है. Because the subconscious mind will always tell you. In fact, some of the famous psychologists have proven morality is not man-made. Morality is not man-made. It is there deep within us only. We experience it. Just like even if somebody is the meat eater, the genuine meat eater, right, they know that I'm committing a violence. Who justifies meat eating? To cover your guilt, which is natural, then people create a philosophy of justification. खाने में अगर कोई खा रहा है, that is not an issue. Justification is an issue. There are two people in the Western world. I will not give their name. One is a religious person, devout Christian. Presents his concept basically is a psychologist. उसके फंडे बहुत जबरदस्त है, profound fundas. But he justifies his only meal every day is beef. गोमांस खाते हो, केवल गोमांस खाते हो और कुछ नहीं. Because grain causes a lot of toxicity to him. So he justifies his beef eating. And there is one atheist, okay? He's a Nastic. And his whole goal has been last few years to battle with the religious people. And if you hear this person, this psychologist, when he speaks, psychology is profound. But when it comes to the concept of religion, he sounds so stupid. He's a Christian preacher. So there was a debate between this atheist and this religious person, and I'm a religious person. I believe in Gita, I believe in Mahabharata, Ramayana, Bhagavad. But when I saw the debate, and when I heard the debate between an atheist person and a theist person, I was forced to support an atheist person. Right? Because you can't be blind loyalist. Right? Just because you believe in something and you also be part of that belief system only, then you sound very stupid. There is one spokesperson of one party. I'll not take her name again because election ke liye time hai. So, when she speaks supporting her political party ideology, you can't stand more than 3 minutes. I don't understand, does she see the comments or not? Out of 100 comments, 99.98%, just like Donald Broadman's average. Everybody is slandering her. Nobody supports her because there is no logic only. Blind loyalty. So the blind loyalty, even the person who is part of your loyalty party only will feel embarrassed and ashamed. So what is one of the core principle of this atheist? Even though he is a Nastic, he has an immense Shraddha in the concept of meditation. He has drawn his morality from the nature itself, not from religion. It says the religious morality, what happens? Many times they are very imposing. They come from the hierarchy. Arey karna hi padega. And that's suffocating. When morality is part of logic driven, which is nature driven, and that is what? And he writes an article. This person wrote an article. He said, I am still very weak in regards to my eating habits. I do commit violence. मुझे नहीं करना चाहिए, लेकिन I am not able to give it up. So who is better situated from the eyes of our Bhagavad Gita? Because Bhagavad Gita is very logical driven book. One person is possessing radical faith, right? And other person doesn't speak anything good about positivity of God's existence. But his lifestyle is very friendly. नास्तिक होने पर भी वो ध्यान सिखाता है. And one of the core principle, scientifically he proved, the power of meditation. What does meditation do to you? One of the greatest contribution of the meditation is it has the power to cut your toxic thoughts. Right? Nowadays people call even small thing as trauma. We are driven by feelings. If somebody tells you after you meet after 5-7 years, COVID के बाद में मिलने के बाद में, if you say anything to them about and you try to use as refined language as possible to tell that तुमने थोड़ा weight ज़्यादा डाला हुआ है, you're overweight. Even if you tell them in privately, this is a common thing nowadays. You'll get a mail or an email or a message calling, it was very sensitive. I'm very extremely conscious of this. I'm hurt. So, and then it doesn't stop there. We have developed such an idea, we celebrate our small success for a long time. And we suffer our pain forever. We keep on watering to that pain and make it is a small sapling, we try to make it as a banyan tree, he said. And then he quoted, even though he's a Nastic, he quoted certain Buddhistic meditation and Vedantic meditation. He said the power of meditation, it has the advantage of cutting your flow of toxic thoughts, artificial positivity and also the negativity. वो बंद कर देता है. What does it do? It takes you to the level of not watering those thoughts, whether positive or negative, more than they deserve. That is called as samachittatvam. That is called as equanimity. That is called as power of now. Eckhart Tolle's book, how many of you heard about him? Eckhart Tolle is a famous person who basically picked up certain concept from the Vedanta, Buddhistic meditation, and sold millions of copies. Power of now. And what is power of now? Power of now is nothing but samachittatvam. Samachittatvam means basically do not extend, don't give life to something which does not deserve, because you need to do next activity. So therefore, whether it is religion, whether it is meditation, whether it is, growth, when it is logically driven, it has the power to help you and empower you, and others simply become a bonus for you. No? They become bonus. They don't change your life. And therefore, those who are weak, those who are basically don't have anything to contribute, they need to hold somebody. One of the greatest tragedy for a soul, Atma, who are you? You may call, I'm failed in my this examination, that entrance examination. I did not get job here. I couldn't get to go to America. My house is not in South Bombay. इसलिए बड़ा tragedy है मेरे जीवन में, right? So you can calculate many tragedies in your life based upon your events. But what is your constitutional identity? Your constitutional identity is you are full of knowledge, you are full of bliss, and you are full of eternality, which is called as Aham Brahmasmi. Right? That is Aham Brahmasmi. So such a living entity which is full of knowledge, full of bliss, full of eternality, feels completely satisfied to have a picture with their heroes. विराट कोहली के साथ में मेरा फोटो है. अरे वो आपका, that is not your identity. That is your insult. आपका खुद का वो insult है. Oh, I have a picture with Deepika Padukone. Then you'll be double depressed. Imagine today modern children, in fact even adults, their identity is based upon मेरा picture किसके साथ में. That is much greater than your restless mind also, because you have given up on yourself. Therefore the teacher or the entertainers or the sports people or even in the spiritual people, their responsibility is not to make them lost in you, lost in them. Right? When you lose yourself in them, you don't rise only. Then you have to have that identity only. Then there are fan clubs. रोहित शर्मा को क्रिकेट कैप्टन से निकाल दिया, जैसे कि पूरा बॉम्बे में शोक छा गया. उसको निकालने से, रखने से पैसा उसका कुछ कम नहीं होता है. He earns the same money, he does the same kind of, yes, there is the pain, but that's his life. Why should I get into all kinds of pain thinking अभी क्या होगा? कुछ नहीं होगा, तुम तुम्हारा काम करो. Right? So please understand, this is a great insult. Therefore, yam niyam. Dealing with the negativity, dealing with the positivity. Until we come to this stage consciously, again, on your own, जितना आप खुद करोगे ना, it is okay to falter. It is okay to break down. It is okay to fall. But जब तक आप खुद नहीं करोगे, you can ask somebody to be your mentor. You ask somebody to be your monitor. But they should not be monitored because they have chosen to control you. काम नहीं करता है. It is more of an imprisonment rather than the self-driven discipline. Yam, niyam, and therefore the third is called as asan. Now what is asan? Asan is not simply yogic posture. Asan, the yogic posture is one aspect of asan. The word asan also denotes what is your position in life. Are you well situated in your education, in your relationship, in your family, in your business, in your earning? That is all falls into the category of asan. Imagine you are meditating with some of the best famous gurus, but you just heard the news that you have lost your job which you are earning $100,000 every month. अब meditation कर पाओगे? वो कितना भी सामने वाले महान गुरु क्यों ना हो, and you just heard that news, you might get some benefit sitting there, but your asan, your position, your profession is so disturbed, it is very difficult to contemplate and meditate. So therefore that is the third principle, asan. And then once the asan is right, position is right, तो अपने आप प्राण ठीक हो जाता है, breathing ठीक हो जाता है. When you are disturbed, when you are fighting, you are in conflict, you care, you see for your breath is not good only. ऐसा थकान वाला breath निकलता है. It is not going through a complete circle. Imagine our rishis were so scientific in regards to their presentation, you'll be marveled. Other day, when we had this meditation program in a yacht, I had invited one neurologist, a super specialist neurologist. He had come to give a talk, and he was attending one conference in Mumbai. He's not from Bombay, he's from other place. He had come to attend a conference which was connected to neuropsychology. And neurology, what do? They do with the, they do with trembling of the body, and then they work with the, what is that? People forget, what is that? Dementia, Alzheimer's. You know what he said? 30% of his patients, every day what they see, when you see their symptoms, the symptoms show that they have all these things. But when you do their MRI and CT scan, zero test coming there. It doesn't show anything. 30% of their patients are like that. The symptoms are there, but the diagnostic test shows nothing. And then children ask, but then where does it come from? He said it is all imagined in the mind, psychological problem. Dekho? So therefore, breath is so important. When you breathe, when there is pranayam, then the prana has a natural amrit. आपके सारे जो इंद्रियों को, right, in your nervous system, you release the fresh breath, and it goes to the brain also. And you have the courage, the power, ability to make a right decision because it is your decision. I gave the example of this atheistic person has much greater sensitivity. When you hear him, I'll not tell his name because I don't know whether you'll be able to handle him. I can filter his information. Otherwise, there is a greater chances that he'll become an atheist only. But he speaks really good. There is the honesty, there is profundity, there is the sincerity. He teaches meditation also. So what is that? Yam, niyam, asan, pranayam. Then pratyahar. What does it do? Pratyahar is basically you have the capacity to tell, अरे मैं इधर नहीं आ सकती हूँ, मैं इधर नहीं आ सकता. I don't want to. It is not profitable to me. Then the so-called peer pressure does not impact you. Rather, your pressure impacts your peers. They will start questioning, how come you don't do this? How come you don't do that? You don't have to give any religious background only. You just tell it is profitable for me. And you don't have to avoid, sometime when you live a disciplined life, you become isolated. And that is not required. You need a society, you need friends. They could be drinking, they could be smoking, they could be anything. Still they're your friends. There are some good qualities. Just because they drink and smoke, they are not Rakshasas. Right? They are not demonic. That's their bad habit. Right? So you can't cut them off in your life because you need to be there. Many times those who live a life of religious purity, they become isolated. They don't have, because they are not in the temple, right? They're in the college, they're in the hostel. खुद अकेले कमरे में बंद करके रह जाते हैं. So they're making a self-imprisonment. So it gives you the power to handle them. At the same time, pratyahar. कितना जाना चाहिए, कितना नहीं जाना चाहिए, वो अपने आप आपको आ जाने का. Then dharan. Dharan is what? Dharan is basically grasping. It is a step below meditation, dhyan. Dharan. Right? If you talk to some of the famous test players, not the T20 players. T20 players who do not play test, they're like monkeys only. Because it does not give you the power of concentration. तो जो टेस्ट क्रिकेट खेलते हैं, if you go and talk to them, like some of this famous player, We are not talking about life, only talking about, their play, their skill, their ability. What do? They hold their ground 1 day, 2 day, to such an extent they are playing, but the sound does not bother them. Imagine otherwise, you are surrounded by 60,000, 70,000 people around you, and you have to play, and the bowler who is bowling 150, right? If it's a leg spinner like Shane Warne, कहाँ से बॉल स्पिन होकर आएगा वो समझेगा ही नहीं. And it is not, you have to have the concentration of which ball to live, which ball to flick, which ball to hook. Does it happen because suddenly it's happening, it's an accidental? No, there is a precision in regards to decision idhar se aa raha hai, and then it is being used while playing with their bat. That is धारण, नियंत्रण आ जाता है. और उसके बाद में the 7th step is ध्यान. And after ध्यान there is what? Then there is samadhi. So therefore our Upanishad, our Shastras talk about meditation does not only happen when you are doing yoga meditation, like what we did in the beginning. There is karma samadhi, there is bhava samadhi, there is jnana samadhi, and then there is yoga samadhi. Right? Somebody is doing this yoga, that samadhi is a different one. Sitting in the Himalayan mountains, days together, years together, getting out for only 15 minutes. There is one of our Braj Bihari Prabhu was telling me, there is a girl, she is doing some fast. What she is fasting for 72 days now, without water. There was a lady in Uttarakhand, उसके मदर इन लॉ ने बहुत डांटा उसको. जैसे बहू आ गई, उसको डांटती रहती थी, वो खाती रहती. तो एक दिन छोड़ दिया बहू ने खाना. 64 years she fasted. Yeah, if you read the book, the book of Paramahamsa Yoganand, in that book he writes this story. Not that गुस्से से छोड़ दिया, she converted the anger of her mother-in-law into some kind of meditation, and she fasted. There are many stories like that. If you talk to some Jain ladies, right, they fast for 40 days. And you don't see them being restless. Hare khana, Gujarati with Jain log, right? Undiya छूट गया, हांडवा छूट गया, खांडवी छूट गया, सब छूट गया, फिर भी बिना कोई. I met one lady recently, she was staying in a monastery for 40 days. और वैसे बोलते जैसे कि वो भर भर के खाकर आई हुई है. प्रभु जी कितना मजा. गुजराती लोग मजा के बारे में बोलते हैं ना, सोचे मजा मचे, राइट? दैट इज देयर लैंग्वेज. सो दे आर एबल टू डू दिस. And in Bombay only, not in some deep village. So there is a concentration of samadhi which is based upon your habits only. अपने काम में आप समाधिस्थ बन सकते हो, आपके लर्निंग में बन सकते हो, आपके योग में बन सकते हो, आपके भक्ति में कर सकते हो, राइट? And if it is not meant for this yoga, see all this science, just like water will always quench your thirst. You can't say it is no more practical. पानी अभी, ये टाइम बदल गया अभी, है ना? पानी तो वही काम करेगा पहले से ही. Whether it is Satyuga, Kaliyuga, you may drink in a different container, but the characteristics of water is the same. Similarly, the concept of meditation, this whole process, it is not time bound. It is not yuga bound. If you become part of that, you actually learn it. And once you start doing, once you are in that dhyan, then samadhi, we are not talking about the samadhis in the Himalayan mountains, but whatever experience you will have, Then there is a developed gut feeling. Yesterday somebody called me from America. Typical IT people, engineers, logically driven. They went to show to an healer, Reiki master, Indian Reiki master. And the Indian Reiki master was speaking to this girl who is moderate. She believes in God, but not devout, logical person. So she called and she told her to send her voice. 30 second का voice भेजने के लिए कहा. And she sent 30 seconds voice. And then there was a phone call. And she's telling almost everything about her character, her behavior, her relationship with her mother, her relationship with her grandmother, including some jewelry which the grandmother had given. ये कल फोन आया था मेरे को. Right. If you read Radhanath Swami's book, Journey Home, you will find such people. This is one thing. I am from a small town. I had gone to my town. I will not tell because you will start going there to find out where is this girl. And there is one doctor. This doctor went 2-3 times to meet these two girls. They were maybe 3 years ago. They were in 8th standard. 8th or 9th standard. One was in 8th standard, one was in 6th standard. He went twice or thrice. One time when he went about asking about somebody's health. He carried a small chit. The name was written in that chit and chit was closed and given to her. And this guy is a doctor. He is a medical doctor. He has done his MBBS. He has done his master. So therefore he has a very clear, atheistic mindset in regards to medical science. He is a spiritualist only, but har cheez ko prashna karega. No, I will not accept like that. So he went there, he gave the chit to this girl. And this girl, without even looking into chit, she explained about the name of that personality. He is sitting in London. He talked about his height. She spoke about what kind of dress he is wearing. And he was going through a cancer. She said within 1 year he'll leave this world. He was like blown away. So next time he took his professor. She was a neurologist, super specialist. I think she was a neurosurgeon, very top. She was the head of the department of one of the medical college, typical scientific minded. He took her and they asked few questions. And this lady showed the picture of her daughter when the daughter was 4-year-old. And that girl is saying she is 20-year-old studying in this particular medical college. ये कहाँ से आ गया? आपको जाना है? Right, 20-year-old. He said she is studying a medical college. So she couldn't figure out because she has not read anything in her medical books about these kind of perceptions. There is another person, I have not gone, I didn't get to go, but the very close friends, they have gone. I have sent them to this person. He is a typical IT guy. He is also practicing devotee. But from his childhood, when his father used to work in a government place, he used to live in the forest, in the villages. And he met one teacher. And he realized कि ये लड़के में कुछ तो speciality है. He said, you give me your son. I said, ऐसा कैसे दूंगा मैं? वो कोई कपड़ा है देने के लिए? No, दे मतलब, I'll teach him something. He continues the education. So this man has such a power. And he doesn't come in the public place. He doesn't do business out of it. Rather, whatever money he makes out of his IT profession, 10% of the charity gives to the good cause. और इसमें कभी पैसा नहीं लेता है. No, what he did was with one devotee friend, he is suffering. He has a chronic disease for many years. तो उसको बुलाया. He said, okay, let me try to do something. And he said, raise your hands. ऐसे हाथ आगे किया. And then from nowhere he produced a Rudraksh. और उसको दिया. And he said, you use this, you wear this Rudraksha, and if you feel that it is becoming a counterproductive, जैसे मेडिसिन के लिए अगर काम नहीं करता तो मेडिसिन बदलता ना. He said, if it doesn't work, he said, you place that Rudraksha in the tulsi plant inside your house. मैं लेकर जाऊंगा. I have touched that Rudraksha also because I have sent 4 or 5 people. सबको नहीं देता वो. Wherever they feel that, okay, this is what he has to give. So then that devotee called him back. He said, काय मराठी माणूस है तो. He said, ऐसा ऐसा है. बोला निकाल के रख दो. He kept it in the night. In the next morning, the Rudraksha had gone. Now that is the part of the Ashtanga Yoga process in any field. When you focus and do, there is a book called as Outlier. How many of you read that book by Golden? What is that? Malcolm Gladwell, yeah. So he's written this book called as Outlier. And you read this book, certain principle what he talks, that if you follow those certain principle, there is called as 10,000 hours. 10,000 hours, it comes up to 13, 14 years, depending upon, if you take average 8 hours. So in our yoga process, there is a concept of if you do something for 12 years, non-stop, repeatedly, then you achieve some kind of perfection that you have seen your grandmother ऐसा फेंकती हो. Right. Kitchen में cooking करते समय measurement नहीं लेती हो. Textbook नहीं होता है. Right. Her hands are moving so fast. And never even once, very rarely, the quality will change. The quantity of salt will be so precise. You go to Jagannath temple also. How does it happen? Because they achieve some kind of siddhatva. And here these people have done much concentrated effort, and they also have the purva samskara. They do something which is beyond the human imagination. And they are not using, there are hundreds of such people, not 1 or 2, and such real people, they'll never come and display this in a public place because they're not allowed to do that only. Some other you'll bump into them, then you find out. So that is all described in the Patanjali Yoga Sutra. While you come to the 5th or 6th stage, these siddhis come to you, but you are not fascinated by them. Imagine this person, अगर वो reel बनाएगा, रुद्राक्ष निकालने का, विभूति निकालने का, और ये लड़की आके बताएंगे, right? मतलब any stupid thing have 100,000, hits. अगर ये सब करेंगे तो क्या होगा? Imagine देखते देखते वो लोग महात्मा बन जाएंगे, करोड़ों रुपए कमाएंगे. But they're not doing only. They don't come in the public place only. They don't come in the forefront only. And one of them is a devotee, and most devotees don't even know that he has this siddhi. उनको भी नहीं बोल रहा. And this is all described in the Ashtanga Yoga process, and we don't need them. अगर आएगा तो अच्छा ही है, ले लो. But even if you practice, it will enhance your own competency, your capacity, your ability, so that nobody becomes responsible and nobody we can blame that you are responsible for my pain. Or will not blame those who are trying to stop us from harming ourselves. Because we are competent enough, we are capable enough to become self-disciplined and experience success to such an extent, and give all the credit to whom? To those who guided us. Credit हमेशा दूसरों को देंगे, but the responsibility we will take. When we take responsibility, that is empowering. And when we give credit to others, that is very humbling. The combination of confidence and humility makes you much greater than all the cricket player put together, all the film actors put together, because you have your own path you have carved. I'll conclude with this. There was one great saintly person. He is no more. When he came for Radhanath Swami's book launch in Kannada, right, So I was translating his speech, and he made a very interesting point. He said, this book is his journey and inspiration for you. It cannot be your journey. ये आपका प्रवास नहीं हो सकता, उनका प्रवास आपके लिए प्रेरणा है. And you should have your own journey to experience your own miracle rather than expecting the miracle. Therefore, I will not give you all these details. मत आके पूछना मेरे को, रुद्राक्ष के पास ले जाओगे, मैं याच में ले जाता हूँ आपको, you know, because looking somebody else's miracle, I have not been to any of these places. अगर ऐसा मिल गया तो जाऊंगा, but I have not been. Right? So therefore, rather than waiting for miracle, you personally experience the miracle, and that is the purpose of meditation. It is nothing but self-profit, for our own personal gain, to grow ourselves, not to make our parents happy. अभी खुश हो ना? हाँ खुश है. नहीं, उनको खुश हो गए तो अच्छा ही है. But if you are happy, if you ask Krishna, yesterday was Gita Jayanti, if you ask Krishna what makes you happy, it's not about him, it's about you. He will tell you, he said, if you are happy and stable, that is my happiness. You don't have to do separate endeavor to make me happy. He is not a narcissistic God. Mafia beta, chal la, फल लेकर आ, दूध लेकर आ, पत्ता लेकर आ, तुलसी भर भर के, नहीं तो काट डालूंगा तेरे को. He is not an extortionist. He is a very liberal, confident, empowering. And when he sees that you are happy, because you are a spark of his own splendor, yat yat vibhuti mat sattvam. So when you exhibit your own qualities, and therefore Krishna explains, I am the ability in man and also woman. Okay? Because he's telling Arjun, here man means, gender free, not the oak gender free. Right? Empowering. He said, I am the ability in man. So there is so much of ability. So therefore it is not to be free from guilt. It is not to be making somebody else happy. It is for your own profit, because if you grow, then you can contribute in the growth of other people also, not to make them your fan, rather fan that spark in them so that they also grow, so that you have your own picture with you. Right? And discourage others taking your picture with them, telling, no, you don't deserve this, you don't need this. You can grow without my picture. Thank you. Any questions or comments? Yeah.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. My name is Rishabh. So I have a question that I read one of your books, titled like Money and the Mahabharata. So I had a question regarding that. So the dharmic scriptures give a way to like earn money in a good sense, but also the same scriptures, for example, like Srimad Bhagavatam, like says that in the current age of Kali, one of the places where Kali resides is Lakshmi or wealth.
Where does it mention?
When like Kali like asks for like refugee to like Parikshit Maharaj.
It talks about gold.
Yeah, gold. So
Not
like gold
wealth.
gold is a form of wealth only, right?
Yeah, but then again you can't take out of context.
Okay.
You follow that, okay? Don't earn money.
Yeah, so my question is regarding this only, that like we see that sometimes even like very pious people who are like in the way of the dharmic scriptures, they follow God, they follow the scriptures, but like sometimes the greed somewhere or the other, like it like pops up. So I want to know, like, is the,
Can you do without it? Anybody can do without it. How long can you survive? No money, no position. Can you do it?
no.
And should we do it?
No.
If you actually want to live like that kind of lifestyle, your surrounding doesn't support you.
Right.
Even if you want to go to Vrindavan today and live by begging, still you need a Vrindavan land price are very high. Land mafia is very big there.
Right.
So you want to be a beggar, you need to have good money.
Right.
Right. So therefore, when the Shastras speak, they do two things. They don't stop you from being ambitious. And at the same time, they warn you not to be greedy. Right? It is not a contradictory to each other. Why did Krishna then allow the Pandavas to fight the war. When Arjuna said Krishna and happy living by begging, Krishna would have said, very good yaar, chalo, hum dono bhi bhik maang ke khate hain. Main chori karta hu, tu bhik maang. Huh? Why would Krishna didn't force him? Only when Arjuna asked him, and you read every verse of the Bhagavad Gita, it is such a beautiful flow of thought. Right? So Arjuna has to be ambitious for a higher cause. Yesterday I was with one politician. Right? Rare politician who has no personal wealth. भाड़े के घर पे रहता है, मतलब सोचो. No, उसके कमरे से 350 crore नहीं निकला. And both he and his wife, such an inspiration. Right? The husband is doing a work of, in India, in Maharashtra, all over, but he is focusing in Maharashtra. There are children who stay in a government orphanages. After 18, there is no scope for them. They have to come out of that place. Some children don't have parents. They actually become more lavaris after coming out of there. So they started this Tarpan, one NGO they have started. We will invite them once. We can have their program. So when he started that Tarpan, he did a lot of research. There are books written on orphans. People have done PhD. People have done PhD on LGBTQ. They have done in all other aspects. But nobody has done a research on what happens to those children who come out of the orphanage. उसके बारे में कोई रिसर्च नहीं है. Last 5 to 7 years he has did this work all over Maharashtra, small planes. They rent out the place and they bring these children. So 5 girls out of them, they got married recently. There are 38 boys who have become police constables. 3 have become police officers. 1 has joined the excise department. And is also giving them dharmicness also in their life. So should you say, better that poor only, so that if they will become greedy? Should we keep them poor so that they can devote, worship God? That is, this is one of the greatest stupidity to say that if you remain poor, then you'll be very devout God worshipper because you don't have any greed. It's jhoot hai. If all the poor had to be spiritualist, so they should be great acharyas, because India में बहुत सारे गरीब लोग हैं. Misery makes you spiritualist. All the hospital people who are lying on the bed, they should be the philosopher. No, in fact, it makes you agnostic. Therefore, whole Krishna is a very practical God. So inside you be free from greed, but externally let there be a hunger to make money for a better cause. Imagine such people. And then I think somebody was telling, there are 4 biggest obstacles in Bharat where others don't grow. The wealth is concentrated. You go home and make a research कि इंडिया के 100 actors and actresses का wealth कितना है मिलके. South India का, Bollywood का. Don't go to Hollywood. See how much money is concentrated. One industrialist को हम लोग गाली देते हैं. कम से कम वो जॉब तो देता है लोगों को. He should also use his money properly. But to make 100 crore, how much difficulty there? One actor acts for some time and is charging 100 crore when a scientist does not earn more than 4 lakh rupees per month. Is it not a big imbalance? I'm not blaming them. It's our responsibility. And then you make all the cricketers in India. Does Mitchell Stark, qualifies to earn 24 crore rupees? किसी ने ये किया, उसका एक बॉलिंग का कॉस्ट कितना है? So imagine where does the wealth is concentrated. So he said wealth is concentrated in the politicians, in the entertainment people, with the sports people, and the 4th is religious people. If you just Google the richest preachers in the Western world, one preacher has already private 2 jets. So he asked his congregation कि मुझे ना बहुत urgently एक jet खरीदी करना है. He raised his funds. People gave him. And if you actually see, there is such a huge imbalance between, wealth earned by these people given by us. Alright, we don't blame them, alright, tum log criminal ho. We are basically becoming object of their growth. So they make money. Huh? Like I went to this place in Bhubaneswar the day before the final match. Therefore, I was praying that India loses, Bharat wins. Somebody called me, he said, Prabhu ji, aa jao final dekhne ke liye, मैं आपके लिए टिकट खरीद लेता हूँ. मतलब that is an insult of my intelligence to sit there 8 hours. I like cricket, but I said, I'm not going to sit 8 hours. They were willing to pay 55,000 rupees for a 2,000 rupees ticket. And somebody came from London. He said, no, you have to come. I came from London because of you, And he's willing to spend money for me to buy a ticket to see a losing match. And before that, we had gone to this orphanage, not orphanage, a place. How much runs Sachin Tendulkar scored in his entire career? International matches. Kitna gaya?
Like around 35,000.
Around
35,000.
35,000. For that he got a Bharat Ratna. How many of you know Dr. Achyut Samant का नाम सुना है आपने कभी? नहीं सुना है. Nobody has heard. So there's Achyut Samant in Bhubaneswar. I was there. This is the second batch. He has taken care of 40,000 tribal children, free education. They come when they are in the first standard. If they are qualified to go up to PhD, they fund their education. 40,000 बच्चों का 2 बैच हुआ है. I didn't know about him 5 years ago. Right? तो 40,000 लोगों के जीवन में ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन लाया. उसको अभी तक पद्मश्री मिला नहीं है. बीजू पटनायक ने लास्ट इलेक्शन में उनको एमपी का सीट दिया, आराम से जीत गया. Right? He's not a politician, but he's using the politics to help children. From the 9th standard, the children start making their own money also. So because we don't know about them. Right? We are worried, अरे रोहित शर्मा को कैप्टन निकाल दिया. देखो, where is our concentration? Where is and we are all, उससे मेरा जीवन ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन नहीं होता. But here when you come and see, and there is another place, this is what I do. My inspiration is to see somebody from the garbage building their career. With also, material growth, mental growth, spiritual growth, and also contribution. There is another orphanage. They don't call it as an orphanage. Adrita Children's Home. I went to that place also, Bhubaneswar. And there is one girl. I go regularly there. But this time I went after 5 years. This girl was found in a garbage can, tied in a plastic bag. And her crime was she was a girl. Right? And who threw her? Mother only. माँ बाप ने दोनों ने निर्णय लेके उसको डाल दिया. In India, we still care for the empty plastic bag of the milk. That is valuable. No. जो स्क्वीज का नींबू है उसका भी पिकल बना लेते हैं क्योंकि वो भी वैल्यूएबल है. कैबेज के छिलके से चटनी बना लेते हैं. लेकिन एक जन्म दिया हुआ लड़की को उन्होंने गार्बेज कैन में प्लास्टिक डाल के फेंक दिया था. Imagine that identity if that girl knows कि I became less than a limbu का छिलका. What an insult. Right? So this person, somebody called him from somewhere, the Dr. Aditi Mohanty, that is the name who started this Adrita Children's Home. And he came there, he picked up this girl, went to the hospital, they thought she is already dead. But she was in coma. Next 5 days she was in coma. Now he doesn't have a budget to care for her, but when this happens, you can't say मेरे पास budget नहीं उसको देखभाल करने के लिए, खर्चा करना पड़ता है. He spent money on her. He revived her. She came back to life. Now she's a 15-year-old girl. She travels across all over. 10th standard में है उसका Odissi dance, music, artwork. What does that indicate? You may be dumped in a garbage can. But if you are facilitated, you become like a Shakti only, representing the educational goddess. Right? So therefore, prosperity has to be accepted. And the verses of the Bhagavatam is for your inner disposition. If you make that as an external disposition, I will live with less. 10 साल के बाद में रोते आओगे, अरे यार मेरे को गलत लोगों ने उपदेश दिया. No, they did not give galat, you heard galat. So harmony between internal. हाँ, yesterday only there is a Marwadi community. हमारे गौरांग प्रिय who cultivates them. तो उनका हिंदी में कहावत है, बोले सुबह जब हम लोग धंधा करने के लिए जाते हैं ना, ऐसा सोच कर रहते कि रात तक अंबानी बनना है, लेकिन जब रात में जब भोजन के लिए बैठते हैं तब सुदामा जैसे खाना खाते हैं कृष्ण के साथ. सो दैट इज द ब्यूटी. अंदर से सुदामा बनो, लेकिन बाहर से उनका दोनों नाम नहीं लेना, तो क्योंकि वो लोग कांग्रेस पार्टी अगेंस्ट देम ना, और दूसरा कुछ भी बन जाओ. You understand? So that is the concept which Shastras gives. Bhagavatam is for your inner reality, and Mahabharata and Ramayana for is the external reality. They are not contradictory to each other. Sorry for the long answer. How long we take? Yes. Any?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. My main question was, before coming to the session, I was thinking about the social media which you were talking about. How to control that. It's a possible bad habit nowadays because the mind is controlled by the social media, and we keep on scrolling to see that. So my main question was that.
I also have to learn it. मैं भी scroll करता हूँ. जिसके पास फोन है वो सब करता है. Right?
Apart from that, Prabhu, my question was, I am possible an ambivert basically. I hesitate to talk to people, so I want to learn about networking somewhat. And according to Vedic injunctions, Vedic scriptures, what is your take on networking with right people, like with whatever
everybody is a potential supporter. If you have that's what we discussed the whole class. We don't want to remain isolated. Wherever you are weak in some field, you take course on that. These are the skills which you have to learn. You may not be talkative like others, you may be more introvert, but if you learn your art, because that is what is needed, so wherever you are, from there you'll grow immensely from there. I was never a speaker. I never wanted to speak. No. When I gave my first talk, within 3 minutes I fumbled and I closed my door and never came out for 3 hours. I was so embarrassed. Now you bring anybody, Modi bhi baithne to unke samne mein bol dunga. Why? Not because of it's a when you learn, when you practice on something, just like when you went to learn mathematics, when you saw the trigonometry in the beginning, आपको लगे क्या चीज़ है, कुछ समझता नहीं है, then you become expert in that. Right? When you see a language when you have never spoken in your life, but you pick up. So similarly, some people are born with that, some people learn with it. Not a difficult one. Yeah. Any other question?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So when I entered, you were talking about atheists who eat meat. They know it is not right. Still they do it. They can't control their like cravings. So like sometimes we do things we know it is not good for us, but still we can't control. So how to get energy, like how to get that sense of control on ourselves?
First, small victory. Like somebody in our, when I used to go to our school in Mumbai, many kids, they would say, अरे हमको जल्दी उठना है. कितने बजे उठना है? 5 बजे उठना है. कितने बजे उठते हो? 10 बजे उठते हैं. So the gap is huge and the aspiration is very big. Right? So what you have to do? You have to experience small victory. Rather than getting up at 5 o'clock one day, and next day is getting about 11 o'clock, you experience small victories, get up at 9:30. So what you have done, you have managed something which is possible. It will stay with you, right? So then 9:30, small victories. Like if you see I think there was a marathon today. Like you never run, but you get inspired by 10 people are running, मैं भी करूँगी. अरे कभी किया ही नहीं, घर में माँ ने बोला थोड़ा बर्तन साफ करो, वो भी नहीं किया है, सडनली रनिंग कैसे होगा 5 किलोमीटर, right? Then you start slowly. And you have to experience victory in whatever you do. Because the victory gives you confidence. Like somebody has never cooked in their home and they want to cook for the deities. कृष्णा की क्या हालत होगी, देखो मेरे ऊपर ट्राई कर रहे हो, आई एम अ गिनी पिग, राइट? So then you do something which is small, and the most important part is you should experience success rather than failure. Then you can take on a bigger battles, right? Just like when a person who plays a cricket, जब गली में उसको success मिलता है, then he gets the confidence to play for the club. बहुत rare है, very very rare when somebody was directly holding the bat joins the Indian team. नहीं होता, right? So like that, small victory, and the most important is that not looking back and feeling guilty all the time. Oh, I should have not done this, I should have, no, हो गया हो, go on, learn from it. Next ball you are supposed to face, right? If you talk about previous innings mein you have gone for duck and you are constantly focusing on that, what will happen? You will get another duck, if not a golden duck, 3 ball के बाद में out हो जाओगे. So that is important, that we don't play the older tape. That is the purpose of meditation, to cut off that connection with the past. It's possible. We'll stop. Any other question? Yeah, she has it.
Prabhuji, my question is like, whenever we take on some good habits or whenever we start something good, how to maintain the consistency?
That's what I said. Small battles. Don't take many things at one go. Take small, where you can manage. Again, determination is born out of sentiments, and capacity is born out of statistics. I know how much I can do. So rather than focusing, if you have the sincerity, God will empower you. No, it doesn't happen like that. The monkeys, the kapis, they knew their capacity. I can only jump 40 yojanas. They didn't say, Ram ke naam pe chhalang lagao. So ne doob jate the. So you need to know your capacity. Can I do this for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months? So you do it. Then you can stop it. Then take a next step. So these are all they are not sentiment driven. They are all driven by statistics. Very clear. If you do that, then there is a greater chance of success. Sentiment driven can be successful. It's like a gambling match. बहुत कम लोगों को लॉटरी लगती है, जिनको लगती नहीं उनकी संख्या ज़्यादा है, बराबर ना? Yes, like that. We have a question.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. You mentioned that the combination of humility and confidence brings great results.
Yeah.
So what happens with me is that sometimes when I try to be humble, I lose confidence in myself. So how to balance humility and confidence?
Yeah, it is not humility. You are basically undermining your own self. You are insulting your own self. Like today, we are dealing with one case, and one of my friend, he said, do you thank yourself? Like, what? Thanking myself for what? कुछ है नहीं thank करने के लिए. हाँ, मेकअप कर लेते, खड़े होते बैठ के. But thanking oneself for one's growth is very important principle. So therefore, the combination of confidence is when you are working, when you go out in the world. If you compare, अरे वो तो बड़े लोग हैं, वो तो छोटे लोग हैं, ये तो ऐसे है. So generally our identity, again, we declare our identity based upon our comparison with others. अगर कचरे में से लड़की निकाल कर और ट्रैवल करके खड़ी हो सकती है, किसके साथ कंपेयर करेगी हो? जिसके साथ भी कंपेयर करेगी तो छोटी है ना, शी इज वेरी लेस. She has such a bad identity in regards to her growth. We don't know who was her parents, but we know where she was picked up from. उसे बात करोगे ना, ऐसा कड़क बात करती हो, डांटती है, इतने साल क्यों नहीं आए, she is able to say that. So she has a confidence. So therefore, वो नम्रता नहीं है. It is better to be confident than to be falsely humble when you have not achieved anything. Humility should be the product of after your achievement. उसके पहले मैं कुछ नहीं हूँ, मैं कुछ भी नहीं कर सकती हूँ, मैं फालतू, अरे है अभी कुछ तो कर ले. Then you become humble, right? Otherwise it can give rise to depression. It is easier to deal with success, but it is very difficult to deal with failures. But people always say other way around. It's easier to deal with success, but it is not easy to deal with failures. Because failure does not make you humble. Failure makes you isolated. सक्सेस वाले मार खाते हैं, उनको मार मिलता है. देखो अडानी को कितना गाली दे रहा है, राहुल गांधी उठता है गाली देता है. Success people are always in the forefront, getting beaten badly, black and blue, right? मतलब मोदी जी 9 साल में कितना गाली खाया हुआ है, उसकी कोई सीमा ही नहीं है. सो देयर इज नो क्वेश्चन ऑफ बीइंग प्राउड ओनली, बिकॉज उठते ही गाली आपके लोग भी देंगे, बाहर के भी लोग भी देंगे, सब लोग देंगे. सो सक्सेस के लिए गोली मारने के लिए बहुत लोग हैं. फेल्यूर हैज टू स्ट्रगल अलोन.
Prabhuji, you mentioned about the Arjuna asked Krishna how to control the mind. So what exactly Krishna helped him with?
अभ्यास है न तो कौनते वैराग्य न जिग्रहते. Krishna said the yam niyam only, same thing. Practice and withdraw from those things which are not beneficial to you. Practice, whatever you are lacking, if you practice there, you will be successful. Very simple. No big deal. That's what he says. इसमें कोई मतलब रॉकेट साइंस नहीं ना, ऐसा कृष्ण वाला चल घुमाया, हाथ घुमा के उसके ऊपर राख नहीं मारा. मतलब दिस इज अ कृष्णा डज नॉट गिव फॉल्स प्रॉमिस, बिकॉज यू आर माय डिवोटी, आई विल डू एवरीथिंग फॉर यू. नॉट लाइक दैट. बिकॉज यू आर केपेबल. द स्टोइक फिलोसोफर, आपने नाम सुना है? द स्टोइक फिलोसोफर, दे सेड 4 things फॉर सक्सेस. करेज, फर्स्ट थिंग इज करेज. इफ यू डिसाइड ओके मैं 15 बच्चों के साथ जाऊंगी, सब शराबी है, उनके साथ में रहूंगी, or I'm not going to drink, and still be friends with them. Not being with them is easy. Being with them and being a drunkard is also very easy. तो भी पिया, मैं भी पिया, चलो दोनों भी गिर गए. No, but to be there, not to fight with them, be strong and be friend with them. And जब वो गिरने के बाद उनको उठा के ले जाओगे. जो नहीं पीने वाला उठा के ले जाता है ना, हमेशा समाज सेवा करता रहता है वो. Like that. So it's there are many people who are like how Virat Kohli came out. पहले कैसे एटीट्यूड था, उसको बदलने लगा. सी वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट कमर्शियलाइज्ड क्रिकेट, वी आर नॉट टॉकिंग अबाउट स्पोर्ट्स पीपल. दे आर ऑल्सो ह्यूमन बीइंग्स, दे ऑल्सो हैव देयर ओन लिमिटेशन, दे ऑल्सो हैव देयर प्रॉब्लम, दे ऑल्सो वांट टू ग्रो. देखा कैसे हो गया. ही इज एबल टू से, आई नेवर हर्ड मेनी स्पोर्ट्स पीपल से दैट क्रिकेट इज पार्ट ऑफ माई लाइफ, इट इज नॉट लाइफ इटसेल्फ. दैट्स अ बिग चेंज. दे सेड क्रिकेट इज नॉट एवरीथिंग, इट्स पार्ट ऑफ लाइफ, वी हैव टू मूव बियॉन्ड इट ऑल्सो. तो इसलिए थोड़ा स्पिरिचुअल बन रहा है, वेजिटेरियन होके बोल रहा है कि मैं वेजिटेरियन हूँ करके, है ना. सो अदरवाइज सराउंडिंग इज व्हाट, सराउंडिंग इज ऑल पार्टी ओनली. सी हार्दिक पांड्या कैसा है, कॉन्फिडेंस है, लेकिन उसके साथ में थोड़ा देयर इज अ लैक ऑफ ह्यूमिलिटी. आएगा, सीखेगा वो भी थोड़ा थोड़ा. No, लेकिन एट दिस स्टेज अभी तक मार खाया उसने बहुत सारा. राइट, इट्स लाइक दैट.
Hello.
हाँ, सॉरी. 4 करेज, मॉडरेशन, विजडम. विजडम इज नॉट इंफॉर्मेशन, विजडम इज सेल्फ ड्रिवन. आपको समझ में आ जाता है इसमें गड़बड़ है, इसमें आई शुड नॉट गेट इन्वॉल्व. एंड द 4th इज जस्टिस. What is justice? Justice is basically when you see, as I said, concentrated everything for me, everything for me, everything for me. That like yesterday that man was telling, he said, काय ना प्रभूजी, लोकांना रडायला येत नाही दुसऱ्यांसाठी, म्हणून स्वतःसाठी रडत असतात. यू अंडरस्टैंड मराठी? सबको आती है, जिसको नहीं आती है, महाराष्ट्र में रहते हो. आई एम नॉट अ महाराष्ट्र ना. सो दैट ही सेड कि अगर आप दूसरों के लिए रोना नहीं सीखोगे तो केवल अपने लिए ही रोते रहोगे. सो जस्टिस इज व्हाट? डोंट टेक मोर देन व्हाट यू डिजर्व. At one point of time, money doesn't matter for your own self. Money matters so that I can earn to share with other. बहुत सारे ऐसे काम कर रहे हैं. Imagine 40,000 लोगों के लिए खाना हर रोज खिलाना, उनका कपड़ा. 40,000 मतलब इट्स लाइक अ टाउन. उनका जो हॉस्पिटल के लिए सर्जरी करना है, उनको किधर भेजना है. आई सॉ देयर किचन. हर रोज 1,00,000 लोगों के लिए खाना बनता है. It's a miracle. It's much greater than seeing a Taj Mahal. लेकिन हमारे क्या प्रेम का प्रतीक है ताजमहल. अरे यहाँ समर्पण का प्रतीक है, पर उनके बारे में जानते नहीं. ये बड़ा पाप है. शराब पीना पाप है, लेकिन वो इट्स ओके. देयर आर गुड पीपल हु आर they are addicted to this thing, so we don't criminalize. But here we don't know about them. There's so many people like that. There is one sex worker in near North Karnataka. There was a concept of Devidasi Paddhati. आपने सुना होगा. ऐसे 3,000 स्त्रियों को उन्होंने सेटल किया हुआ है. Now who is a better hero? Harmit Kaur or that lady? कोई लड़की रश्मित मंडना को देख नहीं पाई, इसलिए रो रही थी. आई वॉन्टेड टू सी हर. सेपरेशन, गोपी के बाद में इसका ही नंबर है. सो यू आर क्राइंग फॉर समथिंग विच इज नॉट टेंजिबल. सो वी हैव टू चेंज अवर अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ व्हाट इज सक्सेस. हु आर सक्सेसफुल? दोज पीपल हु कॉन्ट्रीब्यूट अलॉन्ग विद देयर ओन growth also. They are more successful people. So justice is very important. We'll take one last question.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I want to ask, you said you must know your limitations, but when the problem in front is more big than our limitations, so what should one do? When the hurdle is very big, then I can't tackle it.
ऐसा है ही नहीं. Hurdle is also circumstantial. Again, when we understand, जितना भी बड़ा hurdle हो, however big the hurdle is, that is also time bound only. Is there anything in this world which has stayed forever? Any problem? ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं है, right? औरंगजेब was there. अभी आई क्या हो? नहीं है. There is one nice, very amazing lady. She has a school for the tribal children in the most densely popular, it's a jungle near Gujarat and Maharashtra. धान कौन सा हो? इट्स अ रिजर्व. इट्स लाइक अ हिल स्टेशन है वो, नियर बिल्ली मोरा के आगे. वी गो देयर. दिस लेडी, उसका नाम है यशोदा माई. शी डज भागवत कथा. एंड समटाइम पीपल से अरे कन्वर्जन हो रहा है और इस्लामिक इन्वेजन हो रहा है, कैसा होगा? शी सेज अरे हिरण्यकशिपु इधर था, कंस था, वो चले गए, ये क्या बड़ी बात है? She has brought back those tribal people who got converted for one bag of rice without making any noise, connecting back to their roots. आवाज नहीं करती हो. उनको अपना संस्कार, अपनी संस्कृति वापस लेकर आती है. और ऐसे उसके पास 50 लड़कियां उसके पास में. She is teaching them. She wants to have 500 such places all over India. She's a leader. So therefore, at least now we know that you still, all of you have attraction. अगर कल क्या अभी इधर विराट कोहली वॉक करके गए, सब लोग खड़े हो जाएंगे, इधर भूल जाएंगे, फोटो निकालो ना मेरे साथ. कंडीशनिंग है. But start working. Okay, he may be hero, I still want to take a picture, but I also want to be a hero of my own life. I want to be a successful person of my own life. If I can manage to help myself, then I can also help other 10 people. That is how big you become doesn't matter, but what you do with that becoming a big. Like what they tell, अरे what is this girl, why should they in the late night, हमको तो party में जाना चाहिए, कोई रोकना चाहिए, even if I go late night in the middle of the night, they said nothing should happen. कौन से दुनिया में रहते हैं आप लोग? अमेरिका में भी जाओ, ऐसा कोई देश है जहाँ रात को 1 बजे 2 बजे आप अकेले घूमोगे और आपके साथ कुछ नहीं होगा. Should I do that or should I take care of myself? Those who are telling they are supported by 10 bodyguards. When Alia Bhatt goes around, अकेले रात को 1 बजे है, वो अकेले जाती है क्या? उसके पास बोलने के लिए सपोर्ट सिस्टम होता है. सो दे डोंट टेक रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी ऑफ देयर ओन स्टेटमेंट. राइट? Yes, the world has to become like that. Society has to become like that. But society is not like that. Forget girls going out. In our time, which was quite safe, my father never allowed. I am like a rebellion boy. हमारे इसमें बहुत सारा ज़्यादा मेल एनर्जी था. बट 9 बजे के बाद जाओगे तो छड़ी मिलती थी फर्स्ट क्लास. राइट? सो आई से नो, व्हाट इज दिस नॉनसेंस? वी आर नॉट अलाउड. Even the boys were not allowed. Those parents allow their boys to be hanging around middle of the night. They should be reprimanded. Right? That you never had the capacity to control your own children. You are not able to discipline them in such a way that inspired to be disciplined life. तो then what happened? उसका opposite क्या होता था? Vacation में मैं बच्चों को पूछता हूँ कितने बजे उठते हो स्कूल में? राइट? हमारे स्कूल में मैं पूछता था कितने बजे उठते वैकेशन में? तो किसने सूर्य उदय देखा ही नहीं है, क्योंकि संध्या वंदन नहीं करता है, सूर्य उदय हुआ ही नहीं है. बट इन आवर टाइम व्हेन वी वर नॉट अलाउड टू डू, सो वी वुड गेट अप एट 4 o'clock इन द वैकेशन एंड वी टर्न इट टू एन एडवेंचर. सुबह उठते थे. सुबह अगर आप मॉर्निंग जॉगिंग के लिए जा रहे हैं, द पेरेंट विल से या वेरी गुड. वही रात को घूमने के लिए उसी जगह पे मार मिलेगी. राइट? सो देयरफॉर नो ऑब्स्टैकल इज अ बिग ऑब्स्टैकल. यस, व्हेन यू आर गोइंग थ्रू इट्स अ पेनफुल, बट इफ यू रियलाइज द टाइम है, दिस इज नॉट अ गुड टाइम. व्हाट डिड विराट कोहली गो थ्रू 3 years? व्हाट अ बैड पैच. Right? But because he had such a background of good record, he was not thrown out of the team. He had invested. And eventually, he came back to his form. And then when he cracked that century, he made a very interesting point. अरे यार, इसके लिए मैं रो रहा था. The pleasure of cracking century was so short-lived. He actually laughed at his own. Why? Because he's slowly becoming a man of reflective. And you will see if he continues like that, he can't use that wealth for his own self. कहाँ तो खटकेगा कि मैंने इतना कमाया है तो समाज के लिए मुझे देना ही पड़ेगा. So therefore, good people have to earn large money. Because what they will do, they will share their pleasure, their resources to others. So therefore, never tell people not to earn. Rather, tell them to be good and earn tons of money. Just like सुबह जाओगे, रात को अम्बानी बनकर वापिस आओगे. So that you can live like Sudama and share the way Krishna gave Sudama palace. Thank you for your kind attention. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. So Prabhuji, ये क्वेश्चन पूछते हैं लड़कियों को. Even I have a daughter who's 23 years old. And suppose you're earning 50,000 rupees a month and you want to get married to a boy who's earning 30,000 rupees a month. But he's a very devotional person. He chants 16 rounds. How happy would you be to get married to this boy? Huh? He earns less than you.
साहब हाथ उपाड़ने के लिए मत बोलो.
प्रभु जी आप बताइए उनको. प्रभु जी has a thought on this. हाँ, क्या करना चाहिए प्रभु जी? क्या करेंगे वो?
See, इसके बारे में बहुत बड़ा, we can have a separate session on this.
Okay.
But the point is very simple logic. When a boy says I love you, don't trust. when a girl says I love you, you should trust. Because boy ke I love you mein, what is the most important principle? Stability is the most important person. If boy is not stable, yeah.
If the boy says I love you, you should trust. The girl says I love you.
No, when a boy says I love you, you should not trust. Boy says I'm stable, then you should trust him.
Acha.
You know? And a girl says I love you, then you should accept that. Because a guy can accept a girl from a broken family if she's a good character. For a boy to be only good, that's an important principle to have a good character. But if it doesn't have a cash, you should be careful about it. It should be a potential money maker. Because at the end of the day, again simple. I was dealing with one case where the guy and girl were going for a date and the boy bill ही नहीं देता है. You know, half करता है. This is not Indian culture. You know, guy have to pay the bill. Even the girl is earning more money. Otherwise, what kind of man are you? अरे but आधा no, let them say that. But it is your credibility. ये आपका मान है. तो इसीलिए you have to earn and you have to spend. And girl will keep her saving. So therefore, now also in Singapore, very big, it's a social issue. Because in Singapore army, the boys are compulsory, had to join the army for 2 years. So kya tha, when you join the army when you are 18-year-old, the girl continues to study. You know, she goes to the higher class and the boys stay behind. And once you break your education, the number of people going back to education is quite less. Out of 10, maybe 4 will go, 5 will go, आधा नहीं जाते हैं. So what is happening? It's a small country. From every other perspective, you know, there is such a discipline. But social में क्या हो रहा है? The girls are educated, boys are not educated. And the girls don't want to marry those who are not highly educated. Even those who are not highly educated girl have a high demand कि मेरा पति 30,000 क्या 30 करोड़ कमाना चाहिए उसको. So then there is a gap, so they are not getting married also. So that doesn't mean that they should be educated less. Sometimes the parents say, अरे सबसे बड़ी समस्या ना लड़के लोग पढ़ रहे हैं इसके लिए ऐसा हो रहा है. नहीं, उनको पढ़ना भी चाहिए, लेकिन ऐसे लोगों को मदद करना चाहिए वो आपसे ज़्यादा पढ़े ताकि वो आपका पति बन जाए. No, so therefore otherwise it is not possible. A girl, consciously or unconsciously, however successful you are, you want a man to be higher than you. Financially, you know, in regards to protection also, कितना भी हो. वो नीना गुप्ता है ना, वो बहुत बड़ी फेमिनिस्ट है हमारे टाइम पे. अभी सुनो उसके बारे में क्या बोलती है. अरे बकवास है सब. अरे किसके मुंह से आ रहा है? You know, किसके मुंह से आ रहा है? So therefore don't fall for false narratives. Because these are all not profitable narratives. हमेशा मैं स्कूल में पूछता था, हमारे बच्चे बैठे गोपाल्स गार्डन. I would ask the girl, how many of you, if you are given a chance, want to be a boys? कितने लड़के हाथ ऊपर करते थे, मुझे लड़का ही बनना है. मतलब कितना इंसल्ट है खुद का. Right? You want to change your gender from being Shakti, you want to be Shiv. And the boys को पूछो, आजकल बोलेंगे हाँ मुझे लड़की बनना है. Right? So these are deep psychology, there are unchangeable psychologies. Yes, I know there are many people saying, no, I don't mind my husband earning 30,000 rupees. I can handle. ऐसा exceptional ताजमहल होंगे. लेकिन ऐसा ये regular number नहीं होगा. Because you can't say a girl is being very, you know, in the Mahabharata, Shakuntala or देखो, you started a question, अभी नया lecture हो जाएगा. You know, in Shakuntala, I'll stop here. You know, there are many stories are there. Shakuntala, you know, when she had to marry Dushyant, read that part. She didn't marry Dushyant only because he was lovable. He was good at loving. You know what she says to him? Well, Dekh, I like you, you're likable, you're a great king, but I have one demand from you. Because I am also not ordinary. I am born from, you know, Vishwamitra Muni and Menaka. तो इसलिए मेरा भी लेगेसी स्ट्रांग है. I will only marry you if you make my son next king of Hastinapur. ये गलत है कि सही है? गर्ल्स, व्हाट डू यू थिंक? हर डिमांड ऑफ द राइट और रॉन्ग? ये प्रेम थोड़ी है, ये तो मार्केटिंग है. यू नो, शी इज सेइंग, इफ यू वांट टू मैरी मी, यू हैव टू मेक माय सन द किंग. गलत है कि सही है? ग्रीड नहीं है? व्हाट डू यू थिंक? अरे उत्तर ही नहीं दे रहे.
सही बोला आपने.
हाँ, व्हाट डू यू थिंक? आई एम आस्किंग गर्ल्स. हाँ, you're justifying her demand. Okay. See, some are not answering only. पता नहीं. I don't mind. Love is greater. You know. Love के लिए मैं अपने आप को बह दूंगी. No. So that is what. That's how then. There's a huge psychology. Girl run away from their family. Boys never run. लड़कियों को भगाते हैं, लेकिन लड़के भागते नहीं है, क्योंकि जानते कि प्रॉपर्टी है. I can't run away. No. And when a girl runs away from the family for a 6 months relationship at the cost of the family parents, the boy knows she has nobody to support her. I can dominate her, I can control her, I can abuse her. इसलिए प्रेम करना है ना, ये बहुत बड़ा साइंस है. And the original science was taught by Shakuntala. No, and she actually got her desire fulfilled. मतलब वो प्रेम करना भी जानती थी और प्रेम के साथ में जो धार्मिक व्यवहार को भी जानती थी. राइट. हाँ, इफ यू कम फ्रॉम एन ऑर्डिनरी बैकग्राउंड एंड सडनली somebody wants to marry you who has, you know, quite compared to your level much higher, फिर आप उससे और भी ज्यादा डिमांड कर रहे हो, then you are like that सत्यवती. राइट. सत्यवती नहीं, सत्यवती का बाप इन द महाभारत. सो शी वॉज आस्किंग मोर देन शी कुड डिजर्व. सो इसमें वी आर नॉट सिंपली इमिटेटिंग शकुंतला. कितने सारे, आई नो सो मेनी गर्ल्स, दे रिजेक्ट वेरी गुड प्रपोजल एंड एंड अप मैरिंग सच अ डम पर्सन. बोले ऐसा कैसे हो गया? मुझे लगता है शाप लग गया, मैं ना बोलती रही, मुझे लगा कि इससे अच्छा राजकुमार आएगा. नो, राजकुमार नाम था लेकिन निकला ऑर्डिनरी ओनली. सो यू हैव टू बी वेरी लॉजिकल. सो देयरफॉर होल साइंस ऑफ मैरिज, सो होल साइंस ऑफ लव मैरिज, यू नो, आवर अरेंज मैरिजेस वेर नॉट द अरेंज मैरिज इट हैपेंस नाउ. आजकल का जो अरेंज मैरिज ना, इट्स लाइक गोइंग इनटू द डेंस फॉरेस्ट, यू डोंट नो whom you are marrying. पहले से अरेंज मैरिज वाज नॉट लाइक दैट. You knew something, the family was known to the families. Relatively, it was a known person only. Only thing, there was no direct interaction between a boy and girl. And आजकल love marriage भी पूरा blind है, no science only. Completely filmy. They make money out of the love marriage and you lose your life only. प्रेम करने में साइंस है. Read Mahabharata, read Ramayana. Right, so many stories. Rukmini, why she fell in love with Krishna? Yes, there was a genuine love. And she said, I will die for Krishna. And you think Krishna allowed her to die? No, she didn't. She rose. She became goddess of fortune. Because she knew, मैंने किसके साथ में प्रेम किया हुआ है. उसका इसलिए जो है ना, love is blind is a stupid saying. Love is scientific. नया बादशाह आप सुन के जा रहे हो. Okay?
Thank you very much.